Your organisation runs training courses for your staff and customers. Only problem is it's time-consuming, inconvenient and costly. Take a leaf out of our book. The School of Hard Knock Knocks uses the online training platform by YZ, and our team and customers love it. It's simple to use, supports every media format, audio, video, text, and looks great on desktops, tablets and mobiles. And for a limited time, quote SHKK when you arrange a demo and get 10% off your first year's plan. YZ helps us deliver comedy courses around the world. Imagine what it could do for your organisation. YZ, that's WYZED.com. YZ, online learning made simple. You're listening to the School of Hard Knock Knocks podcast with me, Maury Morgan.
Ladies and gentlemen, your next comedian.
Shouldn't drink on an empty head, you know that, don't you?
That is the shittiest heckle I have ever heard in my life.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
That's a bucket list.
You have dangerously underprepared yourself for the shit that is about to get real.
It was a stand-up comedy course and a dare from a mate that got Mick Meredith started in comedy. One moment a Sydney muso playing bass, the next Mick was a successful stand-up comedian and soon later striking it big with regular spots on Nine Network's The Footy Show. In this School of Hard Knock Knocks podcast, you'll learn how Mick went from open mics to TV, life on the high sea as a cruise comedian, and the benefits of mixing comedy income streams. We'll also talk about Mick's upcoming guest spot at the School of Hard Knock Knocks stand-up comedy course in Sydney from December 2 to 6. Join Mick, Ben Horowitz and returning alumna Talia Joan to learn stand-up comedy skills so like Mick, you can kickstart your stand-up comedy career. And now here he is, Mick Meredith.
I like the 19th hole because you can have a couple of beers there. I had a few too many beers on the 19th hole. And I was about 900 over par, actually, and staggering down the corridor because I had to go to the toilet. On the toilet door, it said members only. So I just poked my member through and did a wee. It's pretty rough out there in the western suburbs, so rough indeed. We've got a sign as you come in that says, "Don't stop, don't revive, you might friggin' survive." So rough indeed, the national flower is the bindi. I got a really sexy French wife. Her name's Shazza. And I'm only joking. Her name's Narelle. She doesn't spell it right. She's got no vowels in it. It's just spelled NRL because she loves footy, mate. She loves footy. She loves footy. I'm always trying to get into the love scrum there. Sometimes she plays the ball incorrectly. So I go to the video. She doesn't know.
Good morning, Mick. How are you?
G'day, Maury. How's it going?
Oh, it is. It is going well. Thanks very much for your time. It's a Friday today.
It's a lovely day here in Sydney. I'm just near a cafe and there's lots of noisy kids, so I'm walked away.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Well, it's not, unfortunately, I'm in Melbourne in that sense that it's not sunny. It is a typical Melbourne overcast day, but give a couple of hours and it'll be hot again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the Sydney-Melbourne banter over with. Let's get stuck into talking about comedy, and particularly your comedy. Mick, you've had a pretty long career. I believe you kicked off your comedy career, was it the Harold Park Hotel?
Yeah, first ever gig was the Harold Park Hotel when it was a bit of a legendary gig, but it's kind of just a trendy hipster pub.
Yeah, right.
Had the old, dirty old theatre at the back there, which I used to be a punter and just go and watch and be in awe of all these people, and now I kind of work with them and they're close friends.
Yeah.
So that's a good turnaround.
And you know, when you're watching from the seats, it's all, it's amazing. It's Wizard of Oz, but then when you get behind the stage and you're behind the curtain and you see the wizard, is it as glamorous as you thought it was?
Oh, the early days are very glamorous, and there's still moments of glamour now, but it's probably more of a job these days.
Right.
But it's a pretty good job, very good job. I wouldn't imagine. Yeah, it's a good day. Good day at the office.
Good day at the office.
Sleep day.
Because you're well known. Your comedy has a musical element. You play the guitar, and you came from music, didn't you? In the 80s, you used to play in a rock band, I believe.
I played in a lot of bands in the probably 70s, 80s, 90s. That was always the goal, to be in a rock band. So comedy wasn't really a stage goal, maybe just to try it once or twice. But, I always wanted to be a musician. But marriage and kids came along, and bickering between the old classic, musical differences, other members of the bands.
Uh-huh.
So, that kind of fizzled out.
Ah, there you go. I did see You Am I two weekends ago, and the lead singer from You Am I, he was hilarious. He was entertaining an audience of adults and kids, actually. It was a kind of a family weekend festival. He was hilarious, yeah. So, anyway, just saying, you could have stuck with both, but, you...
Yeah, no, I was always the funny bass player.
Right.
So it was always it was an easy transition. There was no fear of getting on stage.
No, right.
So, a lot of people are scared to get on stage, but I had no fear. It was not like... It was like, oh, yeah, I've done this before.
Yeah.
It's just a different beast.
Yeah, understand. And so what was the decision then? Obviously, there was a logical or a pragmatic approach to getting onto comedy, because I guess you don't have to rely on other people. You don't have to rehearse. You can rehearse, but you rehearse in your own living room, quietly, without annoying neighbours. What was the jump? What made you go, you know what, I'm going to give it a go?
Well, I was married with kids, and I was probably bored. I started doing magic. I used to do magic shows, because my kids were at that age. So I just started advertising as a magician sort of thing. Used to do kids shows, and used to make some cash. And because I quit my job, and my wife stayed working, and then a mate said, who did similar things, says, there's actually a comedy course, so it's a good plug for you guys.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I did this course with him.
Yeah,
and he's now a lawyer, and I'm still a comedian. So,
And where was that? That was in Sydney, was it? The comedy course?
That was at the Actors Centre in Sydney, and the final night was to jump up at the Harold Park Hotel. So.
There you go. And he's a lawyer. How bad was his set then?
He was really good. He was much better than me, actually. He was actually had a lot of interest of management, whereas I didn't.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. So no, he could have made it.
And is he a barrister now? Does he talk to does he cover murders and make people laugh in the pews?
I don't know. I never really kept that close, but I have run into him on a ferry here and there, and we always really good to see him actually, and he's always very proud of what I've done.
Oh, beautiful.
And I think he sort of scratches his head and he goes, maybe it could have been. Which it probably could have been.
Well, I think comedy's like golf. You're never too old to start.
Oh, God, no.
You can get back into it. Yeah. And funny lawyers, there's a lot of lawyers or ex-lawyers that are in comedy, aren't there, as well?
Yeah, when I started, they were all ex-lawyers, I think.
Yeah.
Arndo, lawyer.
Yep.
James Smith was a lawyer.
Yep.
Yeah, they all started out at the same time as me, so it's like I was just a tradie. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? A real egalitarian type of industry where you can get both sides or all classes if we had such a thing in Australia. Good. Well, I'm going to continue on the journey then. So you go from muso, you do this course, that's great. You don't do as well as your mate, but you think, I'll still do it. What's the gap? How far between graduating at the Harold Park Hotel and then getting the Footy show, for example, or one of your big breaks? Was that months or years or?
That was probably 3 or 4 years.
Right.
So I probably wasn't even at headliner status. So it was kind of in hindsight, not a great idea, but geez, if you get asked to do TV, are you really going to knock it back?
No, not at all. So what happened?
I think the worst thing about getting those gigs were I went straight into the corporate world, which I really wasn't ready for.
Right.
Yeah. So what happened with the Footy show was I think they were just looking for something different, and I think Desh, Australian Indian comedian, he went on, did really well, and we had the same. With A-List was kind of looking after us, and they said, make a tape, we'll send it in. Sent it in, and they took it straight away. So I wrote this funny song about NRL players, so they were like, yeah, I'll have that. It probably kind of pigeonholed me for a long time that I was just a musician, but I wasn't. So people will come to shows and expect the guitar, but I actually taught 3/4 of the set and then finished with the guitar. So
Right.
everyone had to get used to that.
Yeah, fair enough. And and how many shows did you do on the Footy show? Can you roughly?
Probably 14 spots.
Yeah, right. Nice.
Yeah.
And in terms of testing your material, because obviously, you screw up on the Footy show, I assume it's about millions of people watching.
It was alive.
It was live as well. Yeah. How much stress did you put yourself under, and how did you make sure that you hit it each night?
It was really, really stressful. Now looking back, I don't even know how you would even coach that.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I probably should have taken someone with me, and I was on my own.
Right.
So your mind kind of goes into negative. You're like, oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? Probably the worst thing that ever happened was I did Channel 9 New Year's Eve, where I just wrote this silly song about what happened during the year, and there was always the threat of terrorism happening, so people was always thinking about terrorism.
Yeah.
And as I was singing the song, this woman come running at me through the crowd, so I just completely stopped, and this was live on TV, and all she wanted to do was kiss me. So boo to her, because she kind of wrecked the set, so people remember saying, oh, that guy forgot the words, but I just went, what's going to happen here?
Oh, okay. And the cameras didn't show her, I assume. It was just on you.
Well, the camera went to Vision, because it was, I'd sing to what was happening in the news.
Ah, okay.
So I'd be singing the words, and then it'd gut from me into what happened, whatever I was singing about.
Yep.
That's when she came for the crowd, so you didn't see it.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's
so
a shame.
everyone's like, oh, you forgot the words. And I'm like, oh, no, I didn't.
No, there was a suicide bomber.
I thought someone was going to kill me.
Yeah, right. Oh, there you go. That's the shame. So the whole premise, what's the mantra of showbiz? The show must go on. You missed it that moment.
Yeah, the show must go on. I don't know. I always go through. I still go through scenarios. What can happen? I think that's a good comic. You're going to have a few. This could happen. That could happen. That was one of the best advices I got from Fred Lang, veteran comic who now lives in Brisbane. He said you got to have a plan A, plan B, up to plan Z. You can't just go out with that. If you got that golden 30-minute set, it's not going to work every time, no matter how good you are. You've got to have some banter. You've got to have a trick up your sleeve. You've got to have an old joke just in case.
Yeah. And I imagine, if I use that as a very easy segue for me, because you do a lot of cruising, that is, you're the entertainment on cruise ships out of Australia and Fiji and the region, I assume, the Pacific, South Pacific. The cruises, I imagine you get quite an assortment of people who come to see you, because you're the entertainment on the ship, and they might not go to comedy when they're on shore, but since you're there and since they're there, they'll come and see you. So you must get a variety of, audience interactions or lack of sometimes.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, actually. A lot of people that have never been to comedy and don't know how it works, they've probably seen the gala, Melbourne Gala, on TV, thinks that's how it works, and let's say maybe they put in laugh tracks on those TV shows. But they're tense. It's a difficult gig, because the first 10 minutes are so important. Like, you've got to hit them with that first 10 minutes, or they can just go to the casino or go to the bar. And you can see them. You'll see them walk out in droves. Yeah. They've got no manners. They don't care.
No. And then you've got to spend the next couple of days, hiding from the audience? If things go badly, what do you do? Sneak around at night?
I've only had a handful of bad ones.
Yep.
And the reason they have gone bad is because there was no one there. So you're only hiding for the people that turned up.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I think they've always gone. I always rate them out of 10.
Yep.
I think the lowest I've got is a 6 out of 10 on a cruise ship. So, but the worst one I've ever had was they were all an older crowd. It was we were sailing between China and Japan, and so American and English, and it was an 800-seater theatre with 30 people in it. I mean, what do you do?
Yeah.
You pretty much just got to talk to them.
Yeah, right.
And they're spread out, so you go, "G'day, mate. What's your name? G'day. What's your name?" And if they're giving you nothing back, then it's a long 45 minutes.
I imagine. And being British and American, of course, a lot of your local Aussie sort of references would just be useless, wouldn't they?
Yeah, you got to drop it all out.
Yeah.
Or you do it and then you explain what you're talking about, which is okay, because you can add 5 minutes to a joke.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, this is a place called Blacktown. It's in Western Sydney. Western Sydney is probably the rough part of
Yeah, right.
Sydney.
And the political correctness. I mean, I have heard. I think it was a comic who talked to an American friend, an African American friend of his. There is a place in Sydney called Blacktown, and the guy was kind of amazed, almost offended that you could use the word black in. Yeah.
A lot of Indians work on cruise ships, and they're a bit shocked by there's a place called Blacktown. And ironically, it's a very big community, Indian community, Blacktown.
Yeah. You must be you must be able to turn it on and off, because someone's out there going, yeah, I reckon Mick Meredith would be perfect for ships and cruises where you do have a softer audience, I assume, the older audience in some cases. How did you go from where you were on land and then someone knocked on your door or gave you a call or SMS'd you and said, would you like to do your first cruise?
Yeah, well, our agents just go looking for new talent, or they'll put up posts on social media to ask for new talent. But I got tapped on the shoulder, and to be honest, the first few weren't very good. Like, they really, I mean, I was in my 30s maybe, or early 40s when I first did a ship, and I was playing to 70-year-olds. I mean, there's a massive gap there. That's like two generations. Like, you got nothing. They don't know it. They think you're a child.
Yeah.
That
True.
generation really think. They still call you boy. It's like, so I got through it, but it was a hard slog. And then they started putting proper R-rated comedy clubs on the ships, and that was fine by me. So it was, you could say whatever you want.
Yep.
With the guitar, and I was a little bit different, so I became popular, and it's probably a pretty good source of income now. I mean, a lot of other comics bag it out saying it's selling out, but there's not a huge circuit you can do around. You can't really do a circuit around Australia and make a lot of money.
No, right.
I mean, it's pretty decent money on cruise ships.
Yep.
So get one of them a month that pays the food bill.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess I hear a lot. So this is podcast, I think it's number 73 now. One of the common messages throughout all of the veteran comedians, the ones that have stayed relevant for the last 20, 25, 30 years, still active today, they all say you've got to diversify what you do in comedy. You can't just do stand-up on land, for example. You've got to get into books, and you've got DVDs, for example. You're doing podcasting as well, although, that's a tricky one to turn into a profit centre, a business space, but I guess it's good for marketing. I probably should have branched out a little bit further. But I've got an idea for a kids' book. I've always had a lot of ideas for films, but a couple of mates always talk about getting together. But at the moment, I'm just getting by. Fair enough. Well, Greg Fleet's just come out with a fictional novel, The Good Son, and that is not about his life. It is completely fictional, but there you go. He's branching out in that space.
Yeah, that's cool.
Now, I did mention podcasts because I've listened to a number of your podcasts. You have two in particular. The one is Mind Meet, and I enjoyed that one because a lot of the time you were either on a ship or you were in a hotel room. You were sort of in the mode. And there was one in particular that you interviewed Chris Wainhouse. I think you were on a ship at the time with Chris.
We were.
Yeah, and that was a good one. You're talking about the less glamorous side of cruising, which was nice. And then you've got Unhinged Uncast with Julia Wilson, which now Mind Meet, you haven't done one for a while. Is that still going ahead? Are you going to keep rolling with that, or?
Yeah, my partner really likes that, and she wants me to keep doing that. But Mind Meet kind of just grew out of. I just treated it as like an open mic where I just write down subjects and just riff on it, and hopefully new jokes would come out of it. But I probably got a better response than Unhinged, actually. A lot of people really liked it. So it was just, and then every now and then I'd interview someone. But yeah, I'm just not in the mode, the frame of mind to do it. I was really right into it. I got to get back into that space, that space to do it. Because you're basically sitting on your own talking. Yeah.
Like a radio DJ. Yeah, I can imagine.
It's weird.
And you're well over was it the threshold of 7? I think that's the average number of podcasts that anyone ever produces. So once you get over 7, you can actually say that you've got a viable podcast. So that's cool. And Unhinged Uncast with Julia Wilson, that's on hiatus at the moment, but you're coming back for that.
Yeah,
is that right?
we do that fairly regularly, but she's been busy with touring and other things, and we used to live in the same suburb, and now we live miles away, so
okay,
quite difficult. But yeah, that's just two comic mates that we always had funny stories to tell each other, and then we just put it into a podcast.
Yeah, you're an older comedian. I mean that in a respectful way. Not talking down at you like an old 70-year-old boy. You've been around. You've mentioned the words. I think you mentioned 70s, 80s, and 90s in this podcast. In that you were actually doing stuff. You're a career-based comedian. For people that listen to this podcast, they're new comedians and they're often starting out, and you've done a very good job with your social media, because I'm for example, I look at Richard Stubbs, for example, who's been a big radio personality and comedian in Australia, but probably predominantly in Melbourne. He's done all right on Twitter, but he doesn't have tens of thousands of followers, and he doesn't do anything on Instagram, and he doesn't do anything on YouTube. But you've done very well. I looked at your social media. You're very active on social media. You've got Facebook, you've got Twitter, YouTube. I've noticed that you're putting stuff out there, which is fantastic. Is this something that comes natural to you, or do you have to force content out to the wider masses?
I try to keep within what's fresh and what's new. I took a kind of leaf out of Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. He always wants to know what's hip and happening now in the music world. Yep. I think that's, you've got to be, if you're a comic and you're 53 years old, you've got to know what's going on. Like, you can't just get out there and talk like a granddad. You've got to know the terminology of what the young people are saying. So that's the reason why I do it. So I just keep, and I think I have respect from that age group, because I kind of can talk to those people.
I agree with that.
That's basically what I'm trying to do, is just have a bigger age group audience.
Yep. It's very smart. Look, a lot of, again, I speak to a lot of comedians, and some are very good at doing comedy and terrible at doing any form of marketing or self-promotion. They either don't like doing it, or they just aren't good at it, full stop. You seem to have done a great job in that sense. You've got a video, I don't know how old it is, but you've got a video that's of you singing to the Am I Ever Gonna See Your Face Again, the classic Angels song, which is, I think, perfect, because you've changed the lyrics, obviously, and embedded the Australian national anthem into that. And I thought, it sounds like the current government's immigration policy, because you've got "Am I ever going to see your face again?" and then that swear, "No way, get fucked, fuck off." Is perfect. I don't know. Do you set it up like that, or is it just comes out like that?
No, I just read that for a cruise. I just needed a big finish, because you need to have a few different shows, and I just needed a big finish song that everyone always sings along to that song, no matter what. I just basically tell the story that we don't know the national anthem. It's a bit of a shit national anthem. Everyone sings "Am I Ever Going to See Your Face Again?" So the words embed perfectly into the verse. So
they do.
Ridiculously, like when I did it first, I'm like, God, this is surely someone's done this before. I know Adam Hills did "Working Class Man" to it.
Yes,
but no one's ever said I've ripped that off, which I didn't. But there you go.
No, I think it's better than Adam Hills. It's his is a bit more forced. I think he's kind of jamming a round peg into a square hole with that song, but no, yours fits perfectly.
Well, I actually supported Adam years ago when he was small potatoes, and he said, "You know how to play the song," and I went, "Kind of." So I played guitar to it on stage.
Yeah, right.
So there you go.
Beautiful.
There's
Beautiful.
The
well, eventually one day I'll get Adam on this podcast, but I might use this as the segue. Yeah. Now, you mentioned earlier that you came from a tradie background, but then you quickly mentioned that you do a lot of corporate gigs. How easy is it for you to do that jump from your traditional blue collar to your white collar?
Well, I'm probably better at blue collar.
Yeah, right.
white collar, if you really got not to, you have to go in with really low expectations. I think if you go in really confident, you're just going to be really disappointed. I mean, 20% are amazing. It's just getting to the end, just doing your 20, 30 minutes and getting a snicker. And it's hard not to look at the people who aren't enjoying it.
Right.
Because as comics, you look for people that are laughing, and then you see people that aren't. You're like, what's wrong with that person?
Yeah. Yeah, so the classic, you're a chef, you cook 99 meals and everyone loves it, but that one meal that someone sends back, that's the only thing you can think of.
Yeah, you're going to be concerned about it. And you probably should be, because you want to be the best you can. Yeah. So it's good to see that, but I'm doing one this afternoon. So.
Oh, right. Well,
that's a golf day. So
oh, there you go.
It's fine.
I imagine that the person with their arms crossed with the frown is probably human resources. Anyways, they're like, oh, this is not politically correct. Oh, we're gonna lose. People are gonna lose jobs over that comment.
Yeah, well, I think that's the current climate we're in now.
Yeah,
that's probably why people are getting less gigs, because people don't want to be offended, and it'll turn around again. But I just think the gigs have probably dropped off because they went, let's not go with the comic this year because so-and-so's going to be upset about it. And you're always going to, and if you're not upsetting someone in comedy, you're probably not doing your job properly.
No, absolutely.
You're never going to get 100% of the room.
No.
And if you did, or if I did, I'd be touring to theatres, which you're not.
Yeah. I spoke to Greg Fleet. Of course, Greg Fleet's famous for his, shocking comedy in many ways. But if you pay money to see Greg Fleet, you know what to expect. He has done corporate gigs, he says, but he hates them because not everyone knows who he is. And when he goes out there and he talks about his dead sister or, other issues that are distasteful, he gets those frowns. He hates them and doesn't do them because of that. I guess if you've got a name, you get less frowns and closed, folded arms, don't you?
It's just every gig's different. I could give all the advice in the world, but every gig's different in a corporate environment. Same as a pub too, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, if on the topic of advice, so the people that listen to this podcast are starting out in comedy. They might not have even done their first open mic, or they might be a couple of weeks, months, or a year or so in. They're looking for some advice. Early days, if you can go way back and think about what's some advice you'd give to someone who's just starting out.
Really, you got to understand what's happening in the world, I think, the way people think. When you're on stage, you've got to understand what laugh is good and what laugh isn't. Some people think they're killing, but they're not really killing. People are just laughing at them. I've been to open mics where people are like, oh, this guy's so terrible, I'm laughing.
At them, yeah.
But they walk off stage going, oh, I just killed them. I'm like, no, I don't think you did, actually. So I think I just swallowed a fly.
You're right.
Work at it, get on stage. Stage time is the most important thing. Everyone always say that. Get up as much as you can. Get in a good room. There's a lot of bad rooms, so try and get in a good room. But and don't get in a room full of your mates.
Right.
Go where you know nobody.
Yeah,
so you actually know where you stand in the comedy world.
Yeah,
it's good to
that's
die,
good.
It's good to die, and then it's like falling off the horse, and don't take 2 weeks off, get straight back on,
Yeah, right.
And everyone says it, but try a joke 3 times, and if it doesn't work, it's dead in the water.
Oh, that's good advice. No, I like it. Yeah, definitely the friends thing is important. And again, perfect segue. Thank you for because you're our guest comedian in Sydney for our December 2 to 6 stand-up comedy course. You have flashbacks, from when you started, and at the graduation, the graduates, they perform to a room which is predominantly their friends. Obviously, there's other people's friends there as well, but it's a very, very warm room. So we've got about 130 plus alumni now. That's people who've graduated. No one's ever bombed because it's such a hot room. And then, the next day or 2 days or 3 days later, they go to an open mic room, do the exact same set, thinking it's going to rock. And they get the crickets because, that joke isn't as contextual in, this particular pub or that particular bar, for example. Good advice. So I just said, so you're our guest comedian for December 2 to 6. You're coming in on the Monday for a meet and greet, which is the 3rd of December. That's fantastic. We do that because we want to hear the story, because I think stand-up comedy isn't just about, writing a good joke. It's also avoiding the mistakes like you've shared with us, doing, taking on advice and getting feedback as well as much as possible. And then you'll be performing on December the 6th as our headline performer alongside Talia Joan, who's an alumni, which is coming back to your point about stage time is most important. Talia has graduated from the School of Hard Knocks previously.
Great.
And we've invited her back, and we're paying her, which is important, to perform to a Sydney audience. She was actually in Melbourne last week, and she was our middle bracket returning alumni as well.
Cool.
for Melbourne as well. So, and very funny Sydney comedian, nonetheless. Beautiful. All right. Well, Mick, thanks very much for your time. It was good to get to meet you. I'm going to be in Sydney myself, so I'll get to meet you in person, which is exciting. Look forward to that. I assume on the 6th of December, will you bring your guitar, or is that the plan?
Yeah, I might bring that along and do a couple at the end.
Yeah. Look, I'd love to sing the national anthem and scream "fuck off" in the middle of it. That'd be great.
Quite welcome to do so. You won't make me feel bad.
Yeah, that's good. It'd be good if you were playing the guitar at the same time. I might feel a bit odd if it's just me in the middle of Oxford Street. Yeah. Well, Mick, thanks very much for your time. Have a great one. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you very soon in a couple of weeks.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
See ya.